was pretty hopeless and lonely, that was the first crack of the door opening back into a life that I knew so well. And 6 months later, I was taking cocaine again. I was riddled with shame, and I just believed I was a fraud. And I didn't know how to turn up at church and confidently talk to people. And it was really a really tough time, and I struggled like that on and off for two years or so. The big moment came when, as worship started, I started weeping uncontrollably, and I sensed the Lord say to me, "Pete, if you're going to follow me, it's going to cost you your junk." And I was like, yes, I know my junk. Drugs and alcohol and other stuff. And he was like, no, your junk is your unforgiveness of self, your shame, and your refusal to believe that I love you just as you are. Do you know how much I love you? Do you know how much I love you? And basically kept on asking me that question until I was really a broken man on the floor. And you know, that's not to say that things have been at all perfect since that moment. Of course they haven't. But that moment has changed my life. I'm so confident of how much Jesus loves me. There's this encounter that Peter has with Jesus right at the beginning of Jesus' ministry, where Jesus is on the beach and he tells Peter to throw out his nets on the other side after he hasn't caught any fish. And he does, and he catches a load of fish. And in sort of response to this miracle, he says to Jesus, "Get away from me. I'm a sinful man." And then we look at that situation, that miracle situation, which is almost mirrored at the end of Jesus's time of ministry on earth, where in his resurrected state, he is on the beach, and Peter again with a couple of others have been out fishing. They haven't caught anything, and Jesus says, "Throw out your nets on the other side," and they catch all these fish. And there's this incredible difference as Peter, as he realizes that it's Jesus, he jumps out of the boat and runs to Jesus. And the stark contrast between Peter, who knows of God, and in the face of a holy God and a recognition of his own sinfulness, says, "Get away from me." And then a Peter who knows Jesus as friend, runs towards him, again in the face of his sinfulness, after his moment of rejecting Jesus. That reflection has so much profundity in the way that it helps us to understand the way that we relate to Jesus if we have him at arm's length, to the way that we relate to Jesus when we have been wrapped up in his friendship, when we've experienced his tenderness, when we've experienced his kindness, when we've experienced his grace. Within a lot of my poetry, I write about topics. The themes often come back to change and to shame and change. And I think that in my life, change has been an idol, where change actually has been elevated to the thing that I'm desiring, and Jesus is the way there. And I think since that moment, I've been learning more and more that Jesus is like, stop going after change. Just go after me with everything that you've got, and change will happen. But let me do that. Let me do that in the background. You come after me. You trust that I love you.